equation, I don't know if you can go from step A to step C and skip step B in between. I don't know that. But why don't we talk about something that we know actually happens? We know that nature produced animals like elephants and lions and tigers and bears and bacteria and so forth, and also produced plants, produced solar systems. Those are things that we actually know were here before we came on the scene. So I don't know why you're so against using examples like that. You said the cell is more complex than any man-made factory. I won't grant you that. I don't think that you know that. I think you're supposing that is true. You're speculating that it is true. I could take the most complex factory in the world, and you could take the most complex cell, and then we could fight it out to determine which is more complex. That would be quite an undertaking. But no, I just won't grant you that. I will grant you the idea that many living things are more complex than most man-made objects. I don't know that the human eye is more complex than the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. I don't know that. But I think what we agree upon is that in nature there are some very, very complex objects. So what? That has nothing to do about their origin. The fact that they're complex has nothing to do. I'm saying that their origin does not require an intelligent agent. And I explained to you how they can come about without an intelligent agent.
Yeah, my point is that when we really look at complex man-made object, the complex man-made object is nothing other than the arrangement of the elements in the universe. Now, what I'm saying that if you can only get those complex arrangement through the mind and the knowledge, and with the more knowledge and with the better mind that you can gain a better complexity. What I'm saying that what we find in the universe as a complex object, since they are also the arrangement of those basic elements of the universe, they cannot come into existence without intelligence. There is nothing in this regard. You cannot, it's very simple. You cannot claim as a rational person that no matter how long it will take, that a wind can push sand, grain of sand, and turn into complex object. You can claim this complex object like computer. It doesn't have to be exactly computer, but you can claim that the brain can come out of this process. You can claim, I mean, if you can go out now and say, basically, make an experiment and just have enormous energy and push the basic elements like a grain of sand and expect that you will get a complex object like computer, everyone will laugh at you. I think that you yourself understand that this just doesn't make any sense. Now, my point is that what we get it right now is no different than this. Now, the point is that it was really interesting that when scientists spend a lot of time just try to discover and unveil this complexity in the universe. And I want to ask you one thing that's kind of show what they do and what does it mean for us. And imagine that I came from Turkey and actually I went to a factory, discover a factory in the United States, and let's say it's an IBM factory and is a very advanced one. And I sit down and actually make the map of this factory and I send it to my fellow in Turkey. When they look at the map and they actually were very impressed with the factory and they gave me a prize equivalent of Nobel Prize. They say, you know what? You discover this and you map up this factory. It's an elegant factory. We didn't know before about that one. And you were very intelligent to really find it and make map of it. But then they gave me a prize that when I asked them, I say, do you ever believe that there was an intelligent being behind building this factory? They will say, no, don't believe in it. This is nonsense, But do you think such thing will be a rational act?
Well, see, your mistake is whenever you see complexity, you automatically jump to the conclusion that there must have been an intelligent agent behind the complexity, an agent who created that complexity. That's begging the question. In other words, you're failing to open your mind up to the different possibilities, one of which is that the substance, energy, properties of substance, and time together produce these complex objects. That's a perfectly plausible explanation of how we have gotten these complex objects. But you want to say, no, 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 it can't be that. It has to be this over here. Why does it have to be the other explanation? So your first step ought to be to acknowledge, to first understand what I'm trying to say. And I think you understand it. The second thing that you need to do is to agree that that is a plausible explanation. In other words, why is it impossible? You have, if you're going to dispute it and say it must be this other explanation, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the explanation I have given you cannot be possible. Because you're saying there's only one way to get complex objects. The only way to get complex objects is by an intelligent designer and arranger or creator. Yeah, I'd like for you to explain whether you believe this creator creates these complex objects out of nothing, or is he an arranger? I think you need to clarify that. Now, as far as everyone laughing at you, well, that might have been the case 1,500 years ago when Islam was invented, but it's not true any longer in the last 400 years since modern science has come on the scene. People are not laughing anymore. I don't live in the world of 1,500 years ago. Unfortunately, many of your ideas are coming out of the era 1,500 years ago, and you haven't caught up with modern science. In the last 400 years, we have better explanations than we had 1,500 years ago. And so, yes, if I had lived back then, people would be laughing at me. But they're not laughing any longer. They're taking these ideas very seriously.
Okay. I think it's not a matter of how many 100 years. It's a matter of what you say, whether it makes any sense. What you say, whether it actually, contradict with the reason or go along with reason. So that's the point. I think it's just saying, is years or thousands of 100 years is not going to make something wrong. It's alone. So, and I think that's really just playing a wrong side. What I want to go back to the question I asked you, the analogy I gave. I think it will be laughable if I take a picture of a factory, map of factory, and then if they give me a Nobel Prize in my country because I do that. But if because they find me very intelligent by discovering and mapping out the factory, but then and then if they do not accept that the making of the factory itself requires intelligence, I will really have a serious doubt about their intelligence. Because if mapping out the factory cannot be the work of just an ordinary person who requires enormous intelligence, and if I come here and with my intelligence map it out such complex factory very clearly, they kind of look at the map as if they see the factory, and now, and they appreciate my intelligence by just drawing the picture of the factory, but if they actually do not acknowledge and see the intelligence behind the building of factory, I think it would be laughable. Here's what happened. It happened exactly this year. This year, a Nobel Prize in Chemistry were given to 2 Americans and 1 Israeli scientist. And here's, I just got it actually, the news from AP on this Nobel Prize. And it says, two Americans and an Israeli scientist won the 2009 Nobel Prize in Chemistry on Wednesday for atom by atom mapping of the protein making factories within cells, a feat that has sparked the development of antibiotics. Now, it goes on and explain it and how great job they did and how it helped us to really develop the medicine, and that's why because of this that they were awarded Nobel Prize. Now, when I read that, it says basically this protein is not just in a human cell, is in an